What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Justin Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective in the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, missed opportunities, NWO 2002. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you do us a solid and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019, or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. Craig, why is this a missed opportunity, man?
I think we're about to find out. I think this is... You're talking about the greatest faction in wrestling history. Could you recreate the magic 20 years ago today? Or
Horseman fans are like, fuck you, I hope you die.
Or
fuck you.
Exactly. Thank you, Terry.
That's actually day one of the NWO coming into the WWE, and Hogan literally says, God bless Vince McMahon. And I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard at that moment.
God bless Vince McMahon. Thank you. And God bless all of you, too.
The afterthought.
And last of all, God bless America. Thank you for the chance.
Can we give him a chance, JR? I can't speak for you. I don't buy into one word that we just heard.
It's just such a crazy time, and the beginning of that segment literally is Vince in black and white, which is NWO, by the way, saying, "Since I can't control it, I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill my company."
It was
the NWO.
And that's the thing. So much kind of went wrong with it, and we'll talk about it, from Nash's injuries to Hogan to WrestleMania 18 and the reaction there. Like, what could have been? Is that a missed opportunity? We don't know. We'll chat about it, but it's certainly, while not a disaster as much as the WCW invasion, would it, even if everything could have gone right, would it have been all right, or whatever?
You bring up a good point. I think this should have been the WCW invasion. Can you imagine if in 2001, if these guys weren't writing big guaranteed contracts from AOL Time Warner,
right,
and it came over, and the first thing that you ever saw from WCW was the NWO trying to come in? That would have been fucking massive. I don't know if it would have worked. I don't even know if Vince McMahon could have managed the egos. Think about 2001. WrestleMania 17 time. Austin, Rock were just fucking gigantic. DX was gigantic. Triple H, Undertaker. Like, think about WrestleMania 17 and everybody that was involved in that. And you had like guys under, like Angle and Benoit coming up and Guerrero and all this stuff. Like, I don't know how NWO would have fit in. I think we're going to talk about it. You know, like, they couldn't get these guys when it mattered. You know, if you
they tried,
had,
but
like,
you would sit home too if you were being paid by AOL Time Warner to just sit home.
I'll be
you would sit home too.
I don't blame them at
all.
all.
Oh god, some of these. I mean, even Rey Mysterio sat out. Like, you had these guys that were paying. They had 2.5 or 2 years or a year and a half. Like Flair only had a year left on his contract.
You can't just turn down that money.
By the time we got NWO, it was way past when it should have been. It was 2002, a year later, like exactly a year later almost. And Hogan, Hall, and Nash did not get younger.
They didn't?
Hall did not hold back on his fun times.
Oh, he didn't?
Nash didn't either. Hogan was not getting younger. He was already super
But
old
Nash was
anyway.
in super great shape and was like injury-proof, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. See, that's what I'm saying. And so, like, yeah, it's just, when we got it, I still think, though, the reason why I want this to be a missed opportunity is because I still think we'll talk about the reaction they got when they came out in 02 at No Way Out. We'll talk about everything else that happened afterwards. I think Vince could have got some kind of mileage. I'm not talking like reinvent the wheel or kind of have a second wave of the NWO to have the effect that they did the first time, you know. I think that they could have done more. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities with the NWO 2002 revival, if you want to call it.
Yeah, sure. Let's jump on in. The New World Order, commonly abbreviated as the NWO, is a professional wrestling stable that originally consisted of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. The stable originated in World Championship Wrestling, or WCW.
What?
Yeah,
Where?
What? Where? With the
that a
gimmick
thing?
of a group of unsanctioned wrestlers aiming to take over and control WCW in the manner of a street gang kind of situation.
Right there, I have to pause you. This is going to be super obvious when we get to it. That was the thing that launched that rocket of the NWO. It was like you didn't.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Like,
And
what's
we're going to talk about when Vince brings them
man
aboard.
doing here?
Are you employed by the
Vince-
World Wrestling Federation?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And because it was for
Listen,
another company,
SA.
we had to guess. We were like, dude, these guys. Before, when people jump before, it was like someone left WWF television and they were gone for a couple months.
And they got repackaged
And
as
then
something totally different.
Yeah,
elsewhere.
they got repackaged, and the WCW would air vignettes, or vice versa. WWE would air vignettes of the new version or the repackaging of whoever you.
It's
should
almost
know
like
before.
an unspoken courtesy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, NWO when they first debuted in WCW was Hall and Nash got no vignettes. It was Hall coming out of the crowd in jeans, a lot of denim. And like coming out of the crowd and jumping over the rail,
It's true.
and being like,
What's
I
with the
shouldn't be here.
Canadian
The
tuxedo?
announcer's going
Sorry.
like, what? The announcer's going, huh? Who, huh? That was the magic of the NWO. So now we go to 02, and Dave will get to that. Just when you said that, Dave, it jumped out at me. I was like, God, Vince had to be more creative. Like, you can't just bring the NWO back and be like, by the way, they're coming.
No, Steve Dole was trying to get an offensive going.
Wait a minute.
But
What the hell is going
what?
on here?
But the Mauler, he just got reversed right there. The Mauler runs him down. What are you talking about?
Look here.
Well, what the hell?
Wait a minute.
Somebody give me a mic. Give me a mic. What's with
Wait a
this?
minute. Wait, we need security here. I have no idea.
Hey.
Wait a minute. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
It's like, okay, when they first debuted, we didn't know they were coming. And we didn't know that Hogan was the third guy. We didn't know any of that. And so when that happened, that made them as big as they were. So when Vince reintroduced them in 02, he was just like, yeah, they're coming. And we're like, oh.
Yeah.
The NWO angle became one of the most influential storylines in the mid to late 1990s. Success of WCW. It was instrumental in turning mainstream North American professional wrestling into a more mature, adult-oriented product. The stable became the main driving force behind WCW, competing with the WWF in the Monday Night Wars, taking several ratings for a consecutive 83 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. There's a podcast about it. You can check it out. Fueled initially by the unexpected villainous churn of Hulk Hogan, the NWO storyline is generally considered one of the most successful angles in the history of modern-day professional wrestling, spawning several imitations and parodies, including the BWO, the IWO, and the JWO. Blue World Order was my favorite of the four.
What was the J? Oh, Juggalo. Sorry.
Gigolo. Yeah,
Gigolo. The group dominated WCW programming throughout the late 1990s and continued until the dissolution of WCW in 2001, during which time there were several, sometimes rival, incarnations of the group. After the WWF bought the WCW video library for how much money there, Craig?
$2.5 million?
$1.
Is that right?
It was like $1 or $2.
It could have been $1 to $2 million. It was nothing.
I think it was $20, really, if I'm thinking about it.
Without TV, it's worthless, is what.
Yeah, in millionaire-like talk, it was like $20.
A handshake and an ice cream bar. Just fucking
There you
ridiculous.
go. Yeah. But it had to be a WWF ice cream bar. You know, they still had it.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon after all the trademarks, Vince McMahon brought in Hogan, Hall, and Nash, the original NWO, at No Way Out in February of 2002 as hired thugs in an attempt to kill the WWF so that McMahon would not have to share power with the new WWF kayfabe co-owner, Ric Flair. Woo! Can I get
Wings!
Some...
Championship wings!
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 That's not going away for a while. I'm just saying.
Always gold. It's always
Yeah.
gold.
And I just, if you could find the scene where Vince is like, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill it.
I'm going to kill what I created. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna to kill my creation. I'm going to inject the WWF with a lethal dose of poison. If anybody's gonna kill my creation, I'm gonna do it. Me and the NWO.
The NWO is not to be announced. They are a virus. They are this attacking of whatever core you're trying to protect. That's what the NWO was. And so when you announce that they're coming in, and then before NWO, by the way, this Sunday on pay-per-view, the NWO will be at No Way Out. I'm like, oh, like, as a fan, I remembered, like, that's not who they are. Like, but Craig said it earlier.
It's like sharing secrets.
In Vince's mind, it was all about bringing Ramon, Diesel, and Hogan back. That's all it was. Like, he dressed them as the NWO, but in his mind, he's like, they're coming back home. They're coming back. Like, it's like, no, like, if you're going to bring them back as Cancer, bring them back as the original NWO. Let them surprise you. Let them jump over the rails. Hogan would probably take 20 minutes doing it, but fine, whatever. Like, let him jump over the rails on a Raw and attack whoever and then leave. Like, bring them back in the same way that WCW made them famous. Make them a little bit, even though Vince is the owner and he's given them permission to be there, let him sneak attack. Let him come in. Let him do stuff. Don't announce it. By the way, please join us this Sunday.
When you think about Bischoff at the end of it, he was behind it all along. I knew it all along.
Right.
I was the man, right? Even though he got fucking, he got
well, a lot of people said that
table.
too. They're like, fuck, you brought Eric Bischoff in later in the year. Why not bring Bischoff in with the NWO?
Yeah.
Against Vince McMahon. Like,
yeah.
Why not, like, but they didn't. They had Flair as, like, the good guy owner. Vince is the bad guy. He's like, I'm going to bring him out on NWO. Again, missed opportunities, right? If I was Vince, I'd be like, first of all, let's finish the storyline with Flair and I. Let Bischoff bring in Hogan, Hall, and Nash and have Bischoff come in. And, like, that would have been just fucking heart-stopping. Like, if you bring the same element of surprise that made them popular, how could you not want to write them in to come into WWF on that? Don't make them friendly.
They, meaning the NWO, had began by targeting the company's two biggest stars, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock.
Lots of good vignettes, though, I have to say, on this one. One of the more famous ones was when they were talking to Rock, and he came into the back. It was a backstage vignette on No Way Out. And Hogan's like, look, everybody, it's The Rock. Hey, you're my son's favorite wrestler. Can I have a picture? And then when they took a picture, Hogan under his breath, he's like, yeah, so much for the people's taste. And Rock was like, why'd you have to say that? Why'd you have to do that? And they did the whole thing where he's all, you, Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Like,
yeah,
that's a huge meme right now. So
that's when
good.
he went off
like,
on him, yeah.
He's all, you, Razor Ramon. Like, the whole thing. Like, so it was really, there were some good vignettes, but you shouldn't push vignettes over the ultimate storyline, which I think Vince started doing from the beginning.
What'd you just say? No. Doesn't matter what you just said. See, you shouldn't have said that. Rock was being a man, no problem. Picture for your son, no problem. Rock will tell you what you could do with that camera. You, Chico, Razor Ramon. You take that camera, you shine it up real nice. And then what you do, you give it to your big buddy. Big Daddy Cool, Diesel. You turn it sideways, and then you give it to him. Give it to Hogan. Hogan, you take that camera. It's already shined up, turn sideways, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, and stick it straight up all your candy asses!
I just want big pops. I want
He got those.
A freeze frame of the NWO with The Rock. I want a freeze frame of the NWO with Stone Cold. And I think he sacrificed the ultimate storyline. Yeah.
As a result of Hogan shaking hands with The Rock and getting a positive response from the crowd after his match at WrestleMania, he turned face and began feuding with Hall and Nash, with The Rock and Kane at his side.
And I'll just pause you right there, Dave, too, because also WrestleMania 18, it's important to note that Austin also wrestled Scott Hall in a bit of a...
didn't want to.
Didn't want to. Scott was not at his best. It wasn't a great match. It was an okay match, but it still was not the match Austin wanted, not the match it could have been with Hall at his peak and perhaps sober. So another kind of,
Well, and ultimately, it wasn't against Hogan.
I've said it so many times. When Hall was Razor Ramon, that's when he stopped working out.
He's just a big, naturally big fucking guy.
And
man.
how many years later is this? And he has an abuse problem. And
He's still. I mean, he looked good even then. But you can see even the photos that we have up and the clips you see, he was a different guy.
Yeah,
almost winded 24/7, lost in the eyes.
There's a reason why Hogan and Diesel are sleeveless, and Scott is not.
Yeah, no, but Mania, he looked good. I mean, he still had a body here. But Hogan's arms looked absolutely jacked at this point.
Hogan's in the best shape of his life. He's at home. He's at home. He's at home
best.
working out every day. Come on,
Yeah.
He's
with
great
no
for
travel. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
And
And then, of course,
brought
Diesel's
the former-
injuries, too. He's on the shelf for the bicep injury for
It's fantastic.
2 months after, shortly
He
after
blows
they...
his ACL.
So great, right? Hall and Nash then brought the former NWO member X-Pac on the March 21st, 2002 episode of SmackDown in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Look at that! Michael! Do you see that? Is that who I think it is? King! That's X-Pac! Oh my God! X-Pac in NWO colors! What the hell is X-Pac doing out here? Hogan has been busted open! Well, X-Pac! I can't believe I'm saying X-Pac has shown up from nowhere with that metal chair! He laid Hogan's head open and now Scott Hall has a chair!
For the next 2 weeks, the NWO feuded with Kane until he was lured backstage by X-Pac. He must have been really attractive that day and was put down in
He's hot.
action by having his head smashed with a chair. Following this, Nash was suspended for attacking Kane, probably because he's injured, in storyline. To recover from his injured bicep, there it is, X-Pac would begin wearing Kane's mask. That's dumb. Taunting him on the fact that he put him out of action. Okay. We're just gonna have to get through this bullshit because it does get. This is where the missed opportunity.
Yeah, this is
come into
bad.
play. Bradshaw, who had come into Kane's aid, fought Hall at Backlash, which Hall won with help from X-Pac. Big Show rejoined the NWO in the April 22nd episode of Raw.
Yeah.
When
And
Flair
I'm sorry, Dave, just to set the table, Hogan is already red and yellow and gone from the NWO at this point
Yeah,
after
he's so
WrestleMania
separated
8.
at
So
this point.
Vince McMahon turned him and took him completely away.
And then
Nash is
Nash
on the
was
shelf.
What was
so
the NWO before Hogan came into it? When you think even in WCW, it was just a blip until that happened. Everything changed from that.
Yeah.
So when you pull that factor out of it, it's nothing at that point.
So
Well,
all
when
these
you pull
notes
that
and
factor
additions
out,
are...
and you don't continue to book them as a threat. You continue to book them as like a
They're a
mess
joke.
who needs to
They're an
like
absolute
they're
joke.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Booker
They
T
were
joins-
they were a computer virus in a sense. That's what they were originally,
Oh.
and now they're not.
Oh,
Like
oh. They're just
trying
a
to book
flu-
them as
they're
a
just
regular
flu every
faction.
year. They
Yeah.
sound like an issue, but they're not going to be
Yeah.
an issue. Booker T then joined the group. His sidekick Goldust attempted and failed many times to get in, with the rest of the members, which was X-Pac and the Big Show, becoming frustrated with Booker T. Goldust would have been the best member of NWO if they'd let him in. I'm just saying. With Nash returning and attempting to rebuild the NWO, he brought in Shawn Michaels to the faction.
oh, it's officially dead.
There it is. On the June 3rd episode of Raw, that's when Michaels then literally kicked Booker T out of the NWO a week later. Was that with some scissor kicks there, buddy? I'm sure it was. Michaels, then in the midst of a 4-year retirement from professional wrestling, became the first NWO member who had never wrestled in WCW. That's
Well, and on top of that too, so Michaels, I watched that earlier today before we recorded this episode. Nash brings him back. The week later, he kicks Booker T out, and then less than 2 months later, this Angle's dead, and then he reforms a feud with Shawn Michaels, and Michaels makes his in-ring return at SummerSlam '92 in August against Triple H. That's how fast the NWO Angle. They're like, get him out of it.
Yeah.
Put him back in with
Wow.
Triple H. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. Like, yeah.
You can play on our team any day of the week. So I started to think to myself,
Oh, God! What? Jeez! Michael just super kicked Booker T's head off! What the hell? Good grief!
I thought to myself, well, you're the problem. You see, you tried to steal the spotlight from the NWO, just like Austin tried to steal it from me, just like The Rock tries to steal it from Hunter. And I've got news for you. From this day forward, absolutely nobody, and I mean nobody, will ever steal the spotlight of the NWO again.
Just to clean this up, on July 8th, Nash returned to action on Raw, teaming up with Eddie Guerrero, X-Pac, Big Show, and Chris Benoit to take on Booker T, Goldust, Bubba Ray, and Spike Dudley.
And sorry, Dave, but there's a point towards the end also when they were trying to recruit Triple H, and so there's an angle that never really got finished and never. They were like, if you just need us, you do the little click the too sweet click symbol or whatever, and then we'll be there for you. But there was no resolution, so Triple H was never part of the NWO, but they were leading towards something where maybe he would have joined or maybe he would have fought them, and it didn't matter towards the end because it was dropped so quickly.
Watered down and bad,
So,
and then they ended up scrapping that whole thing and then making it just personal between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And then Shawn Michaels made his in-ring comeback in August at SummerSlam.
Yeah, because if anyone is true NWO diehard, it's Shawn fucking Michaels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
my God. New world order. Like the voice. Like Hogan was like the biggest icon of wrestling. For Shawn, it would be the sexiest man in wrestling. The boy toy. Mr. WrestleMania. Shawn
Michaels.
So that 8-man tag that I was just talking about, that's where Nash actually tore his quadriceps.
Marvin
After being
Nash.
out for months, by the way, with the
Puts him
bicep
right back
injury.
on the injured
His
list.
first match back in the 8-man tag, he runs and tears his fucking ACL. It's fucking insane. That footage from Raw, oh my God.
When he's just sitting in the corner, and it's so ridiculous.
He just he gets the hot tag and he falls down immediately, and you're like,
Got the tag. Now business is really picking up. Let me say it. The 7-foot, 300-pound Kevin Nash. Evidently, as they come. They almost took Booker T's head off. Nash grabbing his leg. Grabbing his leg. What happened to him? I think he just blew his knee out, JR. Damn chaotic here.
Stuff.
New world order.
On the following Raw at
The biggest
2015
ACL tear in wrestling.
on July
Nash.
15th, Vince McMahon came out of the ring to the entrance of the NWO and made the
You
announcement
guys
that
are
the group
done.
was officially disbanded.
I tried, I fucking tried! I fucking, you're caught! Don't hold up!
That's the best
So
part of
violently
this
bad.
podcast. Afterwards, the NWO storyline was stopped.
You're done.
And the remaining members drifted apart. Michaels returned to active competition within weeks, as Jesse talked about.
Told you it wouldn't
And then Big
work!
Show
I told you!
was eventually traded
This
to
was
the SmackDown
stupid!
brand. X-Pac was released from his contract.
bad.
Oh, the mighty NWO! Oh, the greatest!
Less than a year when they returned to the company, the NWO was
Blah,
done.
blah, 83 weeks! Fuck you! 1
Damn
million!
it.
1 million! The fuck! 3 million for this shit!
That's right. That's right. Just, you're done.
God damn it! Ow! Ow!
So good.
And he honestly probably did think like it's like I told you so. This was never gonna work. I don't know why I did this. Like,
Yeah.
what was that, Dave?
Hogan, you God bless Vince McMahon, Dave.
I was God bless him, Vince McMahon. I was.
Oh, fuck.
I'm telling you, it's just it's fascinating to me that at the end of the day, what the NWO was such a comedic circus, and maybe that was Vince's intent because at the end of the day he wanted to crap on it. He did.
No, you're totally right, and that's
what
why
he wanted to
I made
do.
this missed opportunity. You're 100% right. I mean, that's what the history tells us. You're 100% right. I wanted to write this because I was like, man, like what if even if they pulled Hogan out? I get why he pulled Hogan out after Mania. I totally understand that. But I'm like, what if you made it a little bit more instead of throwing Goldust in there, which I love the tandem of Booker T and Goldust, like they made me laugh. But don't put a comedy act in NWO. What if you maybe turned Big Show back and then you had him in there with Hall? But I guess I'm answering my own question, right? Hall was falling apart. He was fired after the plane ride from hell. Nash was injured literally every 30 seconds. Like, after he came back, he'd be like, oh, man, oh, my bicep. Oh, fuck, my ACL. Oh, my toe. Oh, I need some wine.
Oh, my quad.
Wait. Oh, my quaddy pants. Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe there's no answer. Maybe it wasn't a missed opportunity. Maybe Vince knew when he brought him in. These guys are fucking hot. milk him! Like, and he's just, I don't know. Like, he had no competition, so he didn't have to tell long-term storyline.
You're done. You're done.
You're done. You're done.
So maybe there is no missed opportunity. Maybe this is the first missed opportunity that we filmed where I'm like, you know what? Thinking back, there was no missed opportunity. He got everything out of it that he could. I think the fantasy fan brain in our heads is like, what if it was just like the WCW NWO? It never had a chance of being because NWO died in '99, by the way, and then they tried to bring it back with the Black and Silver in 2000 with Brett and Jarrett and Hall and Nash, and that failed like literally 2 months after they started it. Brett got a concussion. Brett went away. Like, you know, it's like NWO, I think, was a dead concept after the Finger Poke of Doom. Not because of it, by the way, but because it just had run its
by that
course.
time frame. Yeah.
I think Davis said it on past episodes. They never booked an ending. They were so scared to book an ending for the NWO and do have them have their comeuppance, whether it's Sting or Goldberg or whoever getting the final say. They were so scared to kill it and put a lid on the storyline that they drug it on forever, and it ultimately helped kill the company because you had Hogan, Hall, and Nash still hanging on to. It's
that high that you constantly try to get back from.
Yeah.
If you're a drug addict, you understand. Not that I'm one.
Unless you guys disagree with me, talking this out loud, maybe this is not a missed opportunity. Maybe it's done.
No,
like maybe...
I definitely see some missed opportunities in the realm. But here's the thing, right? If it didn't happen the way that it did, would you have Rock Hogan? I'm not sure, right? So maybe
no, you would. You definitely would because they were still NWO. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like,
well, if you brought him in as this sneak attack, I'm here.
Right.
Do you get Rock Hogan? And if you don't, then you go shit. I don't want that to be missed.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
But so there's things like that. But I do think there's missed opportunities. I don't want to try to discount that. I think you don't announce in black and white at some makeup chair with an NWO chair behind you that you're gonna kill it. You don't do that, right?
The owner of the company advertising, by the way, I'm bringing in this faction that really was popular for surprising me.
And I know we're talking about real life versus
tell you that they're coming.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? If you had a healthy Nash, if you had a sober Hall, if you had a Hogan that stayed a heel in WrestleMania X8,
but not even that though. Even
if
if you pull Hogan out, if you had, like you said, Craig, if you had a sober Hall and a healthy Nash, that Hogan left. That would have been a great faction like that. Because Hall and Nash were the original.
I don't know. I think you almost need Hogan to have an NWO.
Hall and Nash though were the original. What if you turned it into Hall and Nash going like, we were the original too. You were the third guy. Like you were the third wheel.
You're a sack of crap.
So you want to go be your yellow and red? You want to side with the Rock? That's fine. We're Hall and Nash.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
You were Hogan then, but you're not Hogan now.
Yeah, I think it was doomed to begin with. To be honest.
Yeah,
and it got us one of the 5 greatest matches in WrestleMania history with Hogan Rock. It got us that moment.
Yeah.
It didn't get us much more than that.
But it also got us Austin and Austin Hall.
And Austin.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Why am I not the main event?
Yeah.
So, it was doomed from the beginning.
I think it's vexing for sure, is what it is, right?
And then if you have the dynamic of those 3 guys backstage and a new dynamic with Vince telling this is how we're gonna do it, as opposed to 4 years of
Craig, that's a good point.
4 years of that doesn't work for me, brother, or Nash
Hogan,
speaking
Hall, and Nash has all said individually that when they walked into that locker room, it was like somebody farted. They were just like, why are these guys here?
Yeah,
like because they were literally competition the year before.
Well, you would argue that was the real story, like what was happening.
I would argue though, learn your history, and that's fucking Hulk Hogan in your locker room, the guy who literally built the company with
that you live in, that you're getting paid.
Hall and Nash, I can understand. They actually became bigger after Ramon and Diesel than they were as Ramon and Diesel.
But don't you have to respect that too, Jess?
Hogan's a god. Come on.
Like, Hogan's a god, number one. But if you're on the comeuppance and you see Hall and Nash walk into the room after what they did to you, you should be like, bro, that was fucking cool. That's pretty incredible. You were Razor Ramon and Diesel here, and you went over there, and you fucking tore the house down for years.
Well, we talk about this too. The reason why we do this podcast is because most people, what do they say? They work themselves into a shoot. because it's so political backstage. It's all
It
fake,
is.
right? I mean, I know it. People don't like
Sure.
me using the F word. It's all fake and scripted or whatever. But these people they're like real actors and actresses. They're fighting for their position in the back. They're trying to make sure that they're the number one guy. So you're right.
Yeah.
Looking back, going like, dude, if I was in the backstage, I'd be like, dude, NWO, one of the biggest acts, the act that beat Vince for 83 weeks is here. Awesome. But like instead, they're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing?
What's funny is I think of certain people
you tried
that
to
would
put
think
Vince
that
out
way.
of business, you fucker.
Well, there's so many people that are WWE almost lifers, but then I see someone like Jericho walking up to those guys and be like, "What's up, man? It's
Yeah.
good to see you. You guys, man, we
I
did
think
some
with
shit,
Hogan
didn't
of
we?"
all people,
Like, you know.
Hogan was the guy who built that house, and he tore it down.
I was gonna
And then,
say
like,
he also tore it down.
Yeah,
with
they
his-
rebuilt it with but wrestling was dying anyway when Hogan left. It wasn't like WWF was moving right along and they were breaking records, and then Hogan's like, "I'm out. I'm gonna go work for Crockett." That would be different. Like it wasn't like that. In '93, Hogan was dead.
But,
Yeah.
but
He
the,
was
the
out.
power of
And, you know.
Hogan and Nash backstage led to a degradation
Right, yeah.
in quality and action and stuff that
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
happened had they not had full creative control in everything they did.
True, very true.
That's it, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
For
But
audio
responsible
I think it was
for
a
everyone getting
opportunity,
paid
but
too.
it-
But
At the same time, maybe it deserved. Maybe the NWO storyline deserves to live in the bubble in WCW. It did what it did. It served its purpose. Maybe it's not a missed opportunity. Maybe it should never have came in WWF ever.
maybe.
I mean,
don't know.
hey,
I love
it brought
you.
it brought us Rock and Hogan, so I can't hate it.
Yeah, that's true.
What? Yeah, I mean, without, and again, we've talked about this so many times. We talked about it on the previous episode of the Vince McMahon kind of era, but where would we all be without that whole mind share of Hogan? You know, of Vince McMahon, and we probably wouldn't be on this podcast right now. We may not even know each other. I'm just saying he
Yeah.
kind of brought all that together. So,
He was great.
it does matter. It does matter.
He was, yeah, he really was.
So what? All you have to say is
God bless Vince McMahon. Thank you.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you
Well
have to
done.
say. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast. Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you do us a damn solid and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at
The biggest icon
OWP2019
in
or on
wrestling.
Facebook at
Hollywood.
Our Wrestling Podcast.
New world order.
For Jess and Craig, this is Dave with the O.W.P. signing off. Have a good one.
The biggest icon in wrestling.
Yes, do you live slave? The death of freedom, a valid choice. Doesn't this don't mean